It's an old town, Bathurst. It's the second oldest inland city in Australia, behind Goulburn. It was one of the original, what do they say, trading posts. After they started farming out here, a lot of fruit, vegetables and meat and everything for Sydney came out of Bathurst. If you've noticed how wide the streets are, it's because everything came out here by bullock, which is the big cows that they used to tow. So most of the streets out here are wide enough so that they can actually turn a bullock, like do a U-turn in the middle of the streets. You'll notice if you get into the middle of town, they have big, nice, wide streets.
Bathurst. Ito yung panorama. Huh? Hindi na nakita. Oh, tignan mo nga naman yung ano ng solars.
Alright, and in we go. If anyone likes cars and sports stuff, there's a National Museum on the side there. It's quite interesting. Motorsport Museum. Alright, so we're turning onto the track.
Panorama.
On the left here you have all the pits where they change their tyres, refuel, do all their stuff to the cars. This is a public road. It's only closed off as a racetrack when they have races on, but every other time of the year it's actually a public road. Police love it because people like these people up in front come here and think they're race car drivers. Try hooning around the track and they get caught because it's only 60 kilometres an hour. So the race cars start from here, and 3, 2, 1, off we go. Big burnout. So the V8 supercars, by the end of this straight, this first corner, they're actually doing about 140, 160 kilometres an hour. We're doing 50. Yeah. So we go into the first corner. You can see in the middle to the left here, all of the camping grounds. When they have other race events here on, many times of the year. The people that live here often rent out parts of their front yards. If you keep an eye out, you might see some kangaroos too. So they fly up this straight. By the end of this straight here, they're usually doing about 240, 260 kilometres an hour.
Wow, grapes. Vineyard.
And they hit this corner doing about 180. So try doing that in your Toyota Camry. And up the hill they go. Now, they've been racing out here since 1960s. The original track that they raced at was actually off towards Goulburn somewhere. They ended up moving it over here. They made this road, designed it as a racetrack, but it is a public road. As you can see, people live on it.
Double purpose.
So we're climbing up the mountain. It's a bit of a climb, but It's a great view from the top too. If you have a look, you can look back over Bathurst. You can see all the farming. Like, as dry as it does seem, it's very good for farming. You see all the nice green fields. There's the Mount Panorama sign off to your left out the front here. And across the top of the mountain, when they have the V8 supercar race, it's actually Australia's most popular sporting event. They often have about 80,000 people out here over the weekend while they're racing. Unfortunately, due to COVID this year, they only allowed 4,000 people on site, which was disappointing. So across the top of the mountain, here's the commentating box up here to the right. That's where the TV presenters and all that sit. And down we go into the S's through Brock's skyline. If anyone watches the race, you'll know that this is where all the accidents happen. Coming down through these hills, they're actually doing about 130, 140 k's an hour. And we have to watch out for cars here, because if I go too tight, the bus will bottom out. That's the last corner, and this is where they go pedal to the metal and they open it up. And usually this is Conrod Straight. You come down and up over the hill. Usually by the end of this straight they're doing over 300 k's an hour. Which is pretty fast. Now originally the track was a little bit different. You'll see as we come over the hill here, there's a big bend down the bottom before we go around towards the ridges. The track originally went straight through towards the pits, towards that Armour Oil sign in front. But in the 80s, they were having a race here one day. One of the drivers had brake failure, went straight through and ploughed into the wall at the end at over 200 kilometres an hour and died. After that, they decided they'd make it a little bit safer. They put in this big corner with the sand traps. So if anything happens, they can drive straight off the corner here into the sand, and that will hopefully stop them. So we've got the Ridges Hotel down here. You've actually got to book, so I've been told, you've got to book about 4 years in advance if you'd like to stay there for any of the Bathurst events. Smaller events, not so bad, but for the V8s, it's 4 or 5 year waiting list.
Oh, really?
But if you like it, that would be a great place to stay, because you'd get perfect view.
Wow, ang dami naman, laking hotel.
And yes, it would be very noisy. I've been told that you can actually hear the V8s from the middle of Bathurst, which is about 6 kilometres away from here. So.
Okay.
And that is your tour of Mount Panorama. Now that drive drive just took us about 8.5 minutes. The V8 supercars go around there in about 1:40.
Woo. See ya.
So they're very quick. Like I said before, if anybody likes cars and sports memorabilia, on the right there's a great museum. There's also a gold museum because Bathurst was originally also a gold mining town.